Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something that might sound a little technical on the surface, but trust me, it has the potential to completely change how we all shop online. It's called the Universal Commerce Protocol, or UCP for short.
But let's kick things off with a question that gets right to the heart of the whole thing. Have you ever wondered why you can't just use your favorite shopping app to buy something from any store on the internet? Why is it that every single app, every AI assistant, every new platform has to build a totally custom one-off connection for every single business they want to connect with? It feels broken.
Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why that is, and more importantly, how UCP plans to fix it. We'll start with what the spec calls the end-to-end problem. Then we'll see how UCP acts like a universal language. We'll walk through the digital handshake that makes it all possible, dive deep into its super secure payment system, and finally look at why it's built for the future.
All right, first up, let's tackle this end-to-end problem. This is the real villain of the story. It's this massive, tangled web of custom connections that makes everything in e-commerce slower and more complicated than it needs to be.
Okay, so picture this. You've got n number of platforms on one side. Shopping apps, social networks, AIs, you name it. And on the other side, you've got n number of businesses. To make them all talk to each other, you literally need to build n times n connections. It's a logistical nightmare. It's incredibly expensive, and it just kills innovation because who has the time or money to build a million different integrations? So, what's the fix for this tangled web? Well, that brings us to UCP. The idea is actually beautifully simple. Instead of a million custom connections, what if we had one single universal language, a kind of universal adapter that everyone in commerce could just plug into?
And that's really the heart of it. UCP isn't a company. It's not some app you download. It's just a rulebook, an open standard that allows any player, big or small, to automatically discover what another one can do and then talk to them in a way they both understand. Now, this is where things get really clever. You might be wondering, who controls this rulebook? Instead of having some central authority approve everything, UCP uses a system called reverse domain naming. The core official capabilities are managed under .dev.ucp.star. But any company, let's say example.com, can create their own custom extensions under their own name. It's brilliant, right? You get a solid, stable foundation, but also total freedom for anyone to innovate on top of it.
Okay, so we know what it is, but how does it actually work in practice? Well, it all kicks off with something we can call a digital handshake. This is the process where two systems meet for the first time and figure out what they can do together.
And that handshake starts with a profile. You can honestly just think of it like a digital business card. Both the platform and the business publish a profile that basically says, hey, here's who I am, here's the version of UCP I speak, and here's a list of all the stuff I know how to do.
And that stuff they know how to do? In UCP lingo, those are called capabilities. The spec calls them the fundamental verbs of commerce, which I think is a perfect way to put it. They're the basic actions, like checkout, add to cart, or apply discount.
And here we can see some real examples. You've got your official capabilities like ucp.dev.shopping.checkout, but then a payment company could come along and create their own custom capability, like example.com.payments.installments. You can really see that flexible, decentralized system in action.
This diagram shows that whole handshake playing out. So the platform sends a request, the business then looks at the platform's profile and first checks the version number. Are we compatible? If the answer is yes, it then calculates the intersection, the list of capabilities that they both support, and that shared list becomes the common language for their entire interaction. It's super simple, but really powerful.
All right, let's move on to what is honestly the most important and probably the most brilliant part of the UCP spec, how it handles payments. It uses a really smart decoupled architecture that makes transactions so much safer for everyone.
The whole thing is built on this core philosophy of trust by design, and this quote from the spec just nails it. The platform, whether it's an app or an AI, is just a middleman. It should never, ever touch raw financial data. No credit card numbers, no bank details, nothing. So how do they pull that off? Well, UCP splits up the responsibilities very clearly. First, the payment provider, think Stripe or Google Pay, creates the technical blueprint for how a payment should work. Then, the business chooses a provider and configures it with their own secret merchant keys. And finally, the platform? Its job is just to execute that blueprint. It talks directly to the provider to get a secure payment token, so it never sees the sensitive details itself.
You can think of it like a simple three-step dance. Step 1, negotiation. The business tells the platform, hey, here are the ways you can pay me. Step 2, acquisition. The platform goes straight to that payment provider to get a secure, one-time use token. And step 3, completion. The platform just hands that safe, scrambled token over to the business to finalize the purchase. See? The sensitive info is kept in a tight loop.
Now, this diagram really puts it all together. Look closely at that second step, acquisition. See that flow? The platform is talking directly to the payment service provider, the PSP. The sensitive data exchange happens there, completely bypassing the business's systems. That, right there, is the secret sauce to the whole thing's security.
Now, the spec makes a really important distinction here that's worth pointing out. You have the payment provider, which is the company, like Stripe, but then you have the payment handler, which is the specification they publish, the instruction manual. This separation is key because it means the system is built on open standards, not tied to any one company.
Okay, so why have we been going through all this technical detail? Why does this all matter? Because this decoupled flow is an absolute game changer. By making sure platforms and businesses never have to touch that raw financial data, you massively reduce their security risks and the enormous headache of PCI compliance. It makes it cheaper, faster, and safer for anyone to enable commerce.
But here's the thing. UCP isn't just about fixing today's problems. It was designed from the ground up with the future in mind, a future filled with AI agents and new kinds of autonomous commerce we haven't even thought of yet.
And you can see that flexibility right here. UCP isn't tied to the web as we know it. Yeah, it works over standard REST APIs, but it's also designed to run over protocols for large language models, for direct agent-to-agent communication, and more. It's truly transport agnostic, which means it's ready for whatever comes next.
And this is where it starts to feel like science fiction. For a world where an AI agent might be shopping for you, there's an extension that provides non-repudiable, cryptographic proof that you authorized the transaction. This means an AI can make a purchase on your behalf, and the business has absolute mathematical proof that you consented. That's essential for building trust in an AI-driven economy.
So when you zoom out, you realize UCP is so much more than just another API standard. It's a vision for a foundational layer of the internet, one where commerce is open, secure, and can flow as freely and easily as information does today.
Which leaves us with one final provocative question to chew on. If we actually solve this fundamental problem, if any app or any AI can securely and seamlessly transact with any store on the planet, what gets built next? What new experiences, what new business models are waiting just over the horizon?